ladies and gentlemen. This is Jeff Rains coming to you again with Foundation of Civilization, Our Changing World. And we've had another unprecedented week. Lots of interesting things going on around the world and lots of things to cover. So what has been happening around the world? Which world leader could be departing the world stage? Which country is protesting illegal immigrants now, and where are those immigrants from? What communication outage could be an indication of something much more nefarious? Our world runs on energy, so that's where I usually start. West Texas crude ended the week at $65.16 a barrel. Brent North Sea crude ended the week at $68.44 a barrel. OPEC basket ended at $71.19 a barrel. Gold ended the week at $3,336.66. Silver ended the week at $38.18. The Baltic Exchange Dry Goods Index this week ended up a little bit. It's been on a rise over the past few weeks, and it ended this week at $2,257. The bonds, the 10-year bonds this week in the United States ended at 4.392% for the United States. United Kingdom ended at 4.632%, and Japan ended at 1.605%. Military and naval deployments, still the military is keeping watch of what's going on along the southern border and throughout the United States. No, I don't have any significant things to note this week. For the Navy, of the 293 ships, which is no change from last week, 101 are deployed, 70 are underway, and all of those are the same as last week. The Abraham Lincoln was still in port, and actually, you know what I'm going to start doing is just covering the aircraft carriers that are out of port. The Carl Vinson is operating in the South China Sea. The George Washington is operating in the Timor Sea. The USS Gerald R. Ford has transited the Straits of Gibraltar, headed into the Mediterranean, headed east. The U.S. Nimitz is operating in the Arabian Sea with CENTCOM. The USS Theodore Roosevelt departed San Diego on Tuesday but returned on Saturday. The USS America is operating in the Coral Sea and exercise Talisman Sabre. And the USS Tripoli is in Sasebo, Japan. As far as the European markets go, the DAX ended the week at 24,217.50. The FTSE ended the week at 9,119.28. The CAC 40 ended the week at 7,846.29. And the IBEX ended the week at 14,237.30. Russia on Monday, and actually throughout the week, there were a number of drone attacks, and at least 2 people were killed. Ukraine retaliated, killing a couple more people also. The more that the potential for peace comes around, it seems like just about as soon as they launch something, just as soon as they start to prepare for peace talks, somebody decides to launch some type of attack. And we've had a number of those attacks that, they just continue throughout this week. Now, I asked who on the world stage might be headed out. Well, that is the president of Ukraine. Despite these massive air attacks on the capital in recent days, hundreds of Ukrainians protested in central Kyiv. The Ukrainian president signed a new bill into law that was shoved through their parliament, and it limits the independence of 2 anti-corruption agencies and allows him to appoint the chiefs of these agencies. A number of people were not happy with it. This is covering the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine and the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office. they, well, lots of people in Ukraine are not happy about it, and they're ready for him to go. There continue to be a number of protests in the United Kingdom, Ireland. A lot of people are concerned about losing their country's identity, and some of the immigrants are engaging in violence, violating laws, and the native population, native-born English, are not. They're expressing their disgust. Now, mind you, there are still plenty of people who are happy to be, to have the immigrants, happy to provide a place for them. But there are clashes going on. That's the main point. Over in Asia, with the markets, the Nikkei ended the week at 41,459.26. The SSE ended the week at 3,594.89. The Hang Seng ended the week at 25,377.41. The BSE Sensex ended the week at 81,467.60. And the Nifty 50 ended the week at 24,832.10. In Thailand, between Thailand and Cambodia, they have been trading accusations, and they've initiated a deadly border crisis, unfortunately. The crisis has seen 168,000 people displaced, and so far about 33 people have been killed. Those are between civilians and between military. Now, mind you, the dispute is over a piece of land. Both countries are predominantly Buddhist, but as I've seen throughout the world, it doesn't seem to matter what religion somebody is or any groups of people are. They always seem to find a reason to attack each other. I just find it interesting that two similar parties are willing to go to blows and lose life. Back in December, on the 29th of last year, South Korean Airliner impacted a flock of birds, and apparently they didn't follow procedure, and the aircraft was a Boeing 737. The pilot apparently mistakenly shut off the engine that was not impacted. And although the impacted engine was still producing power, it was not producing enough power to keep the flight going. Just a really terrible set of events. There were 175 passengers and 6 crew members. Unfortunately, this time it seemed to be pilot error that cost those people their lives. And this was the worst accident in Korean history, in Korean air history. In Pakistan, the glacial flooding has been going on in northwest area for for a while now. Downpours were heavier in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province than the same time last year, and this has prompted weather advisories. There are a number of people who have had to be rescued, and I believe there are a dozen tourists who they are looking to save now. This past week in Syria, over in the Middle East, as we move over to the Middle East. This past week in Syria, U.S. Special Forces conducted a raid and claimed to have killed a senior ISIS member. The leader, his name is Diwa Zaba Misla al-Hardan, and 2 of his adult sons were also killed in the raid. They're all affiliated with ISIS, and this raid was conducted Friday in the town of Al-Bab in Syria's Aleppo province. Last week, I noted, still in the Middle East, that Gaza has been struggling with hunger for quite a while. In fact, there's growing reports that starvation is beginning to set in. Israel's military has agreed to start conducting airdrops so that food will get to the people. There are also a lot of reports that Hamas has been confiscating a lot of the aid, and I don't know. They haven't been distributing it like they need to be, which to me would I would quickly fix a problem like that. There was also frustration in Syria in Gaza by the U.S. president, and the talks have broken down between the United States, Israel, Hamas, and now the U.S. president says Hamas just apparently wants to die, and they will be hunted down and killed. Now, back up in Syria, there was an American from Oklahoma who, according to reports, was brutally executed by Syrian-backed jihadis. Now, the man that was killed is part of the Druze community, and the Druze are a mixture of Christians and Jews. The man in question had been back home. His name is Hossam Soraya from Oklahoma, like I mentioned. And, well, Syria is pretty much back in a civil war, and he got mixed up in it and unfortunately was killed there. Now, over in Africa, I found some interesting news this week. Interesting rumors that I will try to track down a little more of. The small country of Lesotho is down borders South Africa, and there was they say a controversial MP, representative in their parliament, that was training rebels in the mountains of Lesotho, and they were planning on reclaiming lands that they claimed to own from South Africa. I don't know where this is going or what I expect to see happen, but it could be another flashpoint in the continuing struggles in Africa. Now, continuing in Africa, moving up to the Democratic Republic of Congo, at least a dozen people were killed. 16 others were kidnapped by rebels at a mining site in the eastern area of the Democratic Republic of Congo. In the Americas, the Dow Jones Industrial Average ended the week at 44,916.26. The S&P ended the week at 6,389.36. The NASDAQ ended the week at 21,109.96. Now, I mentioned earlier that Europe is not the only place that is experiencing violence against immigrants. So where else are immigrants experiencing violence and displeasure? People protest, people expressing their displeasure with them. Down in Mexico, Mexicans have joined the movement protesting against U.S. citizens that have been moving down there. Now, this week, the U.S. president announced an agreement between the United States and a new agreement between Japan and the United States. It involves a $550 billion investment, a 15% tariff, and it opens up a lot of Japanese markets to the United States, a lot more Japanese markets to the United States. The agreement includes an investment for critical minerals, pharmaceuticals, computer chips, shipbuilding, among other industries. There's a very disturbing news report coming out of Alabama, a small town or small home in Alabama. A number of children were being held captive there, and they were being abused. The owners of the homes were charging people money to abuse the children. I don't want to go into too many details just because it's so horrific. But 4 people were arrested, and the children, there were 6 children between the ages of 3 and 10, and they had been there for more than a year being kept tied up in the basement. Hopefully, well, I know that Florida recently approved the death penalty for child abusers, and if the abuse is bad enough, and hopefully Alabama can find it within themselves to treat these people similarly. Now, this week there was some discussion on the H-1B visa system. Microsoft recently fired 6,000 employees, and then they turned right back around and went to the State Department and looking at people who were coming in on H-1B visas. They get rid of native-born people that with experience that have been here because they have to pay more for them. And then they bring in these new immigrants, and they just work them to death, knowing full well that not only are these people going to get paid better than they will at home, but once they are approved and once they gain their citizenship, they can apply to bring their whole family in. So they're willing to make that sacrifice and get a better life for their family. But that just undercuts the U.S. citizens that are here, and there's a lot that needs to be addressed. And the vice president, the U.S. vice president, noted that and said we need to fix things. We can't let them continue as they are. This week, I asked a question about the communications. What communications might be seen as causing some problems. Well, Starlink went out, and Starlink is one of those businesses that thriving, doing an incredible job. But they hit a speed bump this week, and this was just as they were rolling out T-Mobile satellite service. The company claimed that there was a hiccup in the programming, and it caused the outage. What they didn't address was if this could have been a cyber attack. And sometimes the lack of information tells you a lot. But the trouble is, even if it was a cyber attack, they probably wouldn't tell us. So this is just something to watch out for, and it is potential. And if you have Starlink, and you're expecting to be able to communicate with people in the future, well, there is a possibility that it may not work. There was also a lot of disputes this past week, as the Director of National Intelligence declassified a lot of information, and a lot of people are not picking up on this. One of the past U.S. presidents was directly involved in essentially falsifying documents, and to be able to spy on a political rival. The U.S. president had directed intel agents to go and investigate if Russia had been interfering in the 2016 elections. And it came back that there was no significant, nothing significant, almost nothing at all, and they certainly didn't change any votes or change any minds. Then he went back and said, find something. So they manufactured evidence. Then they took that intelligence and went to the FISA court, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court, and requested the ability to spy on their political rivals. And the difference is that, of what we found this week, is that the president directed it. The then president directed it. Now, last week I noted that there was a huge blow-up between the current president and releasing the list of clients for Jeffrey Epstein. And Jeffrey Epstein's assistant and girlfriend, she's been prosecuted and sent to jail for 20 years, and since she's in her 60s, that means that she will probably die in prison. She has been complaining and appealing, and her appeals are about to run out, so she's trying to complain louder. Since the list is not being released by the Department of Justice, she's come out and been willing to testify, and the Department of Justice has already sent some lawyers in to talk to her, and she's apparently listed numerous people. The trouble is, she's a convicted felon who was prostituting children. You can't trust her. She'd say anything. And no matter which way it goes, one way or another, she's going to lie. Down in Florida, it has been noted that there was a note that went out to service members, retired service members, but then if you look a little bit further, you notice that it's also current members, because they're talking about anything you see on post that may be out of the ordinary. They sent out a note to former special operators, especially, that they could be surveilled, they could be targeted by terrorists in this country. There's also been a blow up for the former Secretary of the Department of Transportation. It was noted that the Department of Transportation has a $160 billion budget, and about $160 billion budget, and about $80 billion went to grants for diversity hires, DEI hires. Now, whether you believe in DEI or not, the equity of spending money on it, spending half of your budget just doesn't cut it. And this is especially while it was noted that a number of air traffic control facilities needed upgrades. And they spend half of it on DEI. Now, mind you, also, if you've been paying attention at all, the point is not to send the money out for DEI. It's to send it out, pay off your friends, and get them to pay you back later. It's just a big payoff scam. And hopefully somebody will look into it enough and they'll get it to stop, but I don't know. The secretary is actually kind of anxious and excited to be able to run for president. And with that kind of wasteful spending, I certainly wouldn't vote for him. Now, the most egregious news story that I saw come out this past week, And I just cannot fathom this. I cannot grasp how bad this is. Now, if you track that story at all, the story of the U.S. president, he was criticized heavily for storing classified data in the bathroom. And you guys remember those pictures, don't you? I mean, it was really pathetic. And then it turned out that the FBI was manipulating the data, shifting things around, and really nobody was sure what the purpose of the raid was. The whole reason for the raid had been lost in all the political wrangling. Well, this week we find out that almost all of our secrets have been stolen. And I mean, if you've got half a brain, you know that this has happened. Microsoft had signed a deal to manage all of the U.S. classified data, and for some reason they decided that they're going to store all of that data on the cloud, which is just a bunch of servers, and it happened to be that these servers were in China. Now, I don't care who the company is. Any company that works in China essentially works for the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. So all of our classified data was accessible to the CCP. I know there are going to be people who are going to argue, oh no, we had firewalls and we had means to we had digital escorts for people to be able to go in there. Yeah, and when they dug into it, they found out that those digital escorts were barely computer literate. So the only thing that they had was a classified clearance so they could access the data. This is a massive breach, and I don't know who was involved in approving the deal. I do know that a past president had to sign off on the deal. The whole idea of people complaining about secrets in the bathroom, that's pathetic. That's a pathetic joke now. Our secrets are out in the world, and unfortunately I don't know what to tell you, but this past week I noted that we lost a significant portion of money in the 90s due to people not being held to account, and now our classified data is out there for everybody to get a hold of again because people were not held to account. This wraps up my review for the week of the important things. I'm sure that there are plenty of other things that I did not get to. There are plenty of things going on right now, and I hope that you guys are staying ahead of it. I hope that you guys are preparing for the changes, and all over the place, from AI, robotics, the skirmishes, border skirmishes that are going on. There, plenty of things are unfolding. I hope that this has helped you a little bit to stay a little clearer, and I try to give you this information so that you can have a clearer understanding of what's happening, and that we have you're able to get something with a lot less bias. Much love to everybody. If you found any benefit from this, please like, share, and subscribe. I look forward to talking to you guys again and working on my addiction of bringing you the news. Thanks again. I look forward to talking to you all again very soon. We'll talk to you later. Bye.